In today's Leeds news, Leeds prepare bid for Osayi-Samuel, under 21 updates, the latest on Leeds managerial hunt, Stuart Webber Leeds talks, Junior Firpo exit planned, 49ers want Sinistera to stay, and 18 days until pre-season begins. Hiya folks, Jerry here at The View on Wednesday, the 14th of June. I hope everyone's having a really good week so far. There's been plenty of ups and downs and drama and news floating around over the last 2 days, and we'll get into it today, and we'll figure out what's real and what's not. It's Wednesday, so we're one a week. If you like the channel, if you want to help us grow, if you want to support the channel, you can do so by liking the video or subscribing to the channel to help us grow. We've just gone past 12,000 subscribers, so massive thank you to everyone who subscribed over the last couple of months. If you are new to the channel and you're wondering what we do here, this is daily Leeds news from all the different sources from around the place, all put together in one place in as little amount of time as possible. This will include rumours, verified information as well, so and updates from inside the club as well. So that's what we do. Anyway, let's crack on and get into this, and we'll start off with potential incomings as Leeds possibly prepare a bid for Osayi-Samuel. According to Aspor, the former QPR winger is interested in a return to England, and according to this, they claim that Leeds are preparing an £8.2 million bid for the former Queen's Park Rangers player. The player himself is said to want to return to England from Turkey, where he actually spent most of last season playing as a fullback. A couple of people looking at his stats for last season, but no goals and no assists, and wondering what was happening there. He was playing as a fullback last year, so there's that, but he is keen to come back to England, and he did impress when he was at QPR and against Leeds United specifically as well. Remember that game very well. So it could be an interesting one. It is another winger, but I suppose you need to see what's happening with Leeds outgoings, which wingers are going, who's staying, who's coming back. All that needs to gel. Or Leeds could be looking at him as a fullback option as well. That's also a possibility. Or they might not be looking at him at all. There's also that. Let's move on, talk about the under-21 situation, and some really good news for two people, specifically from Leeds under-21s. Charlie Creswell has been announced as part of the England under-21 squad that will take part in the under-21 Euros tournament very shortly. Cressy's been away for a bit with a broken eye socket and has managed to get back in time to make the initial squad for the camp, and has now been selected in the final squad for the under-21 European Championship. So congratulations to Charlie Creswell. Diogo Monteiro also had a big week. He captained Portugal to the under-18s tournament victory. You keep forgetting how young this guy is. He's still playing under-18s football, but he has captained Portugal to a fantastic win this week. So a massive congrats to him as well. Let's get into the meat of today, and let's talk about the latest in the managerial situation, because this has been a bit of a whirlwind. And I suppose the context I'll give to this is there's plenty of updates from plenty of different sources here that I've kind of put together, and they conflict pretty dramatically from each other as well. And some call out the others, some don't. But basically, if we go through this, last night, the Daily Record in Scotland published an exclusive where they said that Leeds United had made a last-ditch 11th hour attempt to get Brendan Rodgers away from his decision to sign for Celtic and come to Leeds. They claimed that Leeds were offering him upwards of £13 million per season on a 3-year deal to take the Leeds job, as he is seen as the 49ers' first choice. It also said that they wanted to have him in as soon as possible, and they wanted to build the entire project around Brendan Rodgers to give it the best possibility of getting back to the Premier League at first crack. However, this morning in the Yorkshire Evening Post, Graham Smith has reported that this is not the case, and what he has said is that reports of this move are wide of the mark. Smith has said that Rodgers hasn't turned Leeds down as of yet, but he also said Leeds haven't spoken to Rodgers. Now, it was reported that Leeds would speak to Rodgers either yesterday or the day before. Graham Smith is saying Leeds have yet to speak to him, so therefore he can't turn Leeds down because there's no offer there. Daily Record saying Leeds have put a £13 million offer on his table. And then if you go through, Phil Hay has had his say on this as well, and he claims that Rodgers is out of the process and that Leeds will be continuing potentially into next week with their interviews planned up until next week, should they not get what they want from this week. But there is a plan already to go into next week. Carlos Corberán is mentioned by Phil Hayes still as being someone Leeds are interested in speaking to, Leeds are interested in appointing. And Daniel Farke is also mentioned after all the situations with him. the betting odds have all reopened across the board on Farke as well. So there's a lot of information that's conflicting here. You've got the Daily Record saying an offer has been made and a last-ditch offer on top of an initial conversation. You've got Graham Smith in the Yorkshire Post saying that they never spoke to each other. It hasn't happened yet. There's no talks have happened yet. And you have Phil Hay saying that Rodgers is out of the process completely, which would suggest that maybe Leeds have spoken to him. So somebody's wrong on this. Maybe they're all wrong. Maybe everybody is wrong. But it doesn't make it any clearer. Scott Parker has been mentioned as well. I just think Scott Parker is just a no, a massive no. Considering what happened to him at Bruges and the way his players spoke about him publicly and what he was doing at Bruges, he made a disaster at that job. Alfred Schroeder didn't even do that bad a job at Bruges, so we didn't want him last year. And the stuff they said with Bournemouth as well, that you couldn't keep that squad in the Premier League because the players weren't good enough, and then he gets sacked on the back of that, and Gary O'Neill goes on to keep the team in the Premier League with that squad. So Scott Parker is just a no for me. There's nothing about him that appeals to me. I don't think he's a great manager. I think he's a pretty weak manager. Farke, as I said before, I'm okay with. It's fine. It's fine. Doesn't inspire me. Corberán I'd like for lots of different reasons. But someone like Graham Potter or Brendan Rodgers, I think, was always going to be the top of the pile. Potter's floating around as well. He's come back into the betting odds as well. Apparently he wanted the Celtic job. That's another one going around, but Celtic are going with Rodgers. It's going to be an interesting first day in the Parkhead for Brendan Rodgers when he walks out after a lot of stuff has been said and happened between Celtic fans and Brendan Rodgers. Let's move on. Let's talk about Stuart Webber and the what's going on there with the director of football role. And this came out yesterday evening, according to Sky Sports, after they had announced that Webber was leaving his role at Norwich. Sky Sports reported that he could be set to take a break from the game for a bit. He had said before that his next move in football was going to be, his next move in his career was going to be away from football. But Sky Sports also said that there is an offer and there are interests in Spain for Stuart Webber and that he may likely go to Spain. However, according to the Yorkshire Evening Post, Webber might be going anywhere for a little bit because he has an extended notice period at Norwich that he has to serve. They say that he has a long notice period and they claim that he will have to serve that. And they also claim that he has actually spoken to Leeds. The Athletic say he's spoken to Leeds. Leeds are impressed with him. Leeds would be interested in bringing him in, but he does have this lengthy notice period, which could scupper the deal and could send Leeds in a different direction, as Leeds will want to get things moving, and director of football is important to that. Leeds may not be able to wait a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it is. There are some non-compete clauses in some similar industry contracts. I know in the industry that I work in, there's a non-compete clause, so if I was to go to a competitor, I wouldn't be able to go there for a certain period of time. So, there's that floating around as well. So, not done and dusted. The ink isn't dry on this one yet. We have to wait and see what happens over the next couple of days. But it's not off the table, but there's question marks about it now as well. So again, it muddies the water a bit more, as well as the manager situation. So potential exits, let's talk about Junior Firpo. And according to Planet Sport, they are saying that they expect Junior Firpo to leave Leeds as soon as possible. Spanish site Estudio Deportivo have claimed that Real Betis are the likely destination, with other Spanish clubs keeping an eye on Firpo, but that Betis are likely to make a move to bring the fullback back to the club where he made his name before he moved to Barcelona. It also says that Firpo could join Marc Roca, who looks, for all intents and purposes, to be done and dusted to Betis as well. 2 Leeds players moving to Betis. Interesting move for both of them, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of fee Leeds can get for this. The rumour with Roca is a loan. Doesn't say anything about an option to buy, but a loan move with maybe Leeds looking to sell him next year. I have to wait and see on that, but Firpo will be a different one. I think it'll be a straight up fee. Assuming Betis have money to buy the 2 players, that's the big question. And then finally today we'll talk about Luis Sinistera, and according to the Colombian outlet AS, they are saying that Leeds United are desperately trying to keep Sinistera at the club. They basically, what they say is the 49ers wanted to keep Sinistera at the club desperately, and they see him as a major part of their promotion push back to the Premier League, and are doing everything in their powers to keep Sinistera at the club this season. They do also go on to say that they are fully aware that there will be offers and there is interest from Germany and Spain in the Colombian winger as well. He had an interesting season last season, a couple of goals, no assists, plenty of injuries. It'd be interesting to see if he can get a full season under his belt. 42 games in the Championship is a long season, so it'll be interesting to see if he can get through that. It's a tough one. And that's going to be it for me today, folks. So massive thanks, as always, for supporting the channel and watching the content. We're back tomorrow morning with more Leeds news. If you want to get our thoughts on who we should keep, sell, and loan, we did a live stream over on Just Joe's show last night. You can check that out as well if you want to. Andrea Russo joined us last night as well, which is an interesting one as well. Some interesting takes on what's going on with potential signings and players at the club as well. So feel free to go check that out. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Leeds news. Have a great day. I'll see you then.